Across the vast tapestry of American history, few symbols resonate with such enduring power and complex meaning as the Bible. From the solemn oath of office, hand placed upon its sacred pages, to the quiet solace sought in moments of national despair, Scripture has been a constant, often enigmatic presence in the highest echelons of American leadership. But for the discerning historian, the astute political observer, and the thoughtful religious scholar, a more profound question emerges. Which U.S. presidents truly relied on the Bible most deeply in their leadership, and how did this ancient text genuinely shape their monumental decisions? Was it merely a ceremonial prop, a strategic rhetorical device, or profound wellspring of moral and spiritual guidance that steered the course of a nation? The tradition of integrating the Bible into presidential inaugurations dates back to the very genesis of the Republic, with George Washington reportedly kissing the Bible after taking his oath in 1789. This act, seemingly simple, established a powerful precedent, intertwining the nascent American state with a profound religious symbolism. For some presidents, this engagement with Scripture remained largely ceremonial, a nod to expected rituals without necessarily reflecting deep personal conviction. Yet, for others, the Bible transcended mere formality, serving as an authentic source of moral compass and spiritual fortitude amidst the crushing pressures of executive power. Presidents across 2.5 centuries have consistently invoked themes of liberty, justice, and national unity, often buttressing their arguments with direct scriptural references. This consistent public display compels us to ask, does frequent public reference to the Bible unequivocally signal sincere personal faith, a genuine wrestling with divine precepts? Or does it more often reflect a calculated political strategy, a deliberate effort to connect with a religiously inclined electorate that expects its leaders to honor sacred texts? The truth, as history often reveals, is rarely monolithic. It is usually a nuanced, intricate combination of both, a delicate dance between conviction and constituency. The early architects of the American Republic, figures like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison, navigated a notably complex and often ambiguous relationship with religious faith. Washington, a man of profound gravitas, frequently invoked the Almighty and Providence in his public pronouncements, speaking of divine favor as essential to the young nation's destiny. His references, while pervasive, often remained deistic, reflecting a broader Enlightenment understanding of a benevolent, guiding creator rather than explicit Trinitarian Christianity. This nuanced approach allowed for a broad appeal in a religiously diverse, though predominantly Protestant society. Thomas Jefferson, ever the intellectual iconoclast, famously crafted his Jefferson Bible, meticulously excising supernatural elements to focus solely on Jesus' ethical teachings. This act, radical for its time, underscores a profound intellectual engagement with Scripture, albeit one filtered through a rationalist lens. James Madison, the principal architect of the Constitution, championed religious liberty with unparalleled fervor, yet kept his personal theological convictions largely private, believing that true faith flourished best unburdened by state interference. Washington's reported sentiment, "The care of human souls is the most weighty of all trusts," encapsulates the moral seriousness these leaders brought to their roles. The critical question for us remains, how did these founding generation leaders reconcile their diverse personal beliefs with their profound political responsibility to a nation striving for religious pluralism? Did their scriptural references stem from deep personal conviction or from a shrewd understanding of public expectation? Abraham Lincoln stands as a towering figure in presidential history, distinguished by his profound and pervasive invocation of Scripture, particularly during the agonizing crucible of the Civil War. His speeches and private correspondence are replete with biblical themes of suffering, divine providence, and even judgment, reflecting a deep personal wrestling with the theological implications of the nation's fratricidal conflict. His second inaugural address, a masterpiece of American rhetoric, is saturated with biblical language and profound theological reflection on God's mysterious purposes in the war, famously pondering whether the conflict was divine punishment for the sin of slavery. Lincoln's iconic phrase, "with malice toward none, with charity for all," directly echoes biblical principles of forgiveness and mercy, even towards a vanquished foe. But here lies the crucial analytical challenge. Did Lincoln primarily employ Scripture as genuine moral guidance, a spiritual anchor in navigating the war's impossible choices and unimaginable human cost? Or did he strategically deploy it as a rhetorical instrument, a powerful means to unify a bitterly fractured nation by appealing to shared, albeit contested, religious values? Historians continue to debate this intricate interplay. The compelling evidence suggests a synthesis. Lincoln genuinely grappled with Scripture on a personal level, finding both solace and intellectual framework, while simultaneously recognizing its unparalleled power to shape public opinion and forge a common national narrative. The 20th and 21st centuries have witnessed a continued, robust engagement with the Bible by American presidents, evident in speeches, legislative signings, and solemn moments following national tragedies. Franklin D. Roosevelt, facing the existential threat of World War II, often infused his fireside chats with prayerful language, invoking divine assistance for the nation. Dwight D. Eisenhower, a deeply spiritual man, famously championed the addition of "under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance, solidifying a public expression of national piety. John F. Kennedy, despite facing skepticism regarding his Catholicism, skillfully wove scriptural allusions into his major addresses, demonstrating a broad cultural literacy. Ronald Reagan frequently quoted the Bible, articulating a vision of America as a divinely favored, shining city upon a hill. More recent presidents from both political aisles have consistently maintained this pattern during moments of national celebration and profound crisis. This consistent pattern compels us to scrutinize. Do these pervasive biblical references genuinely shape substantive policy decisions and legislative priorities, influencing the very fabric of governance? Or do they primarily serve to influence public perception, shaping how Americans view their leaders and reinforcing a sense of shared national identity? Alternatively, are they primarily a source of personal reflection and moral grounding for presidents confronting immense, often solitary pressures? The answer, undoubtedly, is multifaceted, varying significantly depending on the individual president, the specific historical context, and the particular issue at hand. Throughout American history, presidents have exhibited a wide spectrum of approaches to their personal faith. Some have maintained a profound privacy, treating religious practice as an intensely personal matter, rarely discussing theology in public forums. Others have embraced a highly public expression of faith, openly sharing conversion experiences, attending high-profile church services, and integrating their spirituality into their public persona. Jimmy Carter, a devout Baptist, famously continued to teach Sunday school even during his presidency, a testament to his unwavering personal commitment. George W. Bush spoke openly about his born-again experience and the transformative power of faith in his life. Barack Obama delivered significant speeches exploring the intricate relationship between religion and democracy. Even Donald Trump, in a highly publicized moment, held up a Bible outside a church during civil unrest, a gesture laden with both religious and political symbolism. The biblical verse, Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," has been quoted by multiple presidents, underscoring a reliance on divine strength. But this raises a critical, often uncomfortable question for scholars and citizens alike. Does frequent public use of the Bible and religious language genuinely reflect sincere personal spirituality, a deep wellspring of conviction? Or is it primarily a carefully crafted political message, strategically tailored to appeal to religious voters who constitute a crucial demographic? Can we, as observers, truly distinguish between authentic faith and astute political calculation? Presidents, after all, are complex individuals, human beings with genuine beliefs, yet simultaneously politicians acutely aware of the need to cultivate and maintain public support. Historical records and presidential memoirs offer compelling glimpses into moments where presidents genuinely consulted Scripture, not merely for rhetorical flourish, but as a guide for profound moral decisions. Abraham Lincoln, during the darkest hours of the Civil War, reportedly immersed himself in biblical texts, wrestling with the moral and theological implications of emancipation and the nation's destiny. Dwight D. Eisenhower, Facing the terrifying specter of nuclear warfare, spoke of seeking biblical guidance in his deliberations, understanding the immense moral weight of such decisions. Jimmy Carter frequently articulated how his Christian faith profoundly shaped his approach to human rights and foreign policy, viewing these as extensions of his spiritual convictions. These instances suggest more than mere public performance. They point to private reflection on Scripture's directives for the exercise of immense power. From the foundational debates surrounding slavery and the subsequent struggle for civil rights in the 1960s, to critical decisions concerning war and peace, and domestic policies addressing poverty and justice, biblical references have consistently provided a moral framework. Many presidents genuinely drew upon this framework, believing it offered timeless wisdom. Yet, the absolutely pivotal question for rigorous analysis remains. To what extent did the Bible truly influence substantive leadership decisions, shaping the very outcome of policy, versus how much was it primarily a useful rhetorical tool employed to justify decisions already made for other, perhaps more pragmatic reasons? This question, while almost impossible to answer definitively, is paramount for a comprehensive understanding of the intricate interplay between faith and power in the American experiment. Presidents who leaned most heavily on biblical language and themes have undeniably left an indelible mark on American political culture. Their words continue to echo in anthologies of great speeches, in policies that have fundamentally shaped American life, and in the collective public memory of what presidential leadership should embody. Matthew 5:9, "Blessed are the peacemakers," has been invoked by presidents seeking to end conflicts or foster reconciliation, demonstrating the enduring relevance of Scripture. These biblical references are far more than mere historical footnotes. They have profoundly shaped how Americans conceive of leadership, morality, and the very purpose of their nation. This consistent pattern of biblical usage prompts further reflection. Does it primarily reflect America's deep-seated historical religious identity and pervasive cultural expectations, a societal demand for leaders to acknowledge a divine dimension? Or does it predominantly reflect the personal habits and sincere beliefs of individual leaders who, by historical happenstance, were often Christian? The answer, once again, is likely a complex interplay of both. American culture undeniably creates expectations that influence how presidents present themselves, while individual presidents bring genuine personal faith that shapes their rhetoric, and at times their most profound decisions. Let us conclude with a series of vital, open-ended questions for your consideration. Which presidents throughout the long arc of American history truly relied on the Bible most profoundly, and what were the multifaceted reasons behind their engagement? Was it primarily a matter of personal faith, political necessity, cultural expectation, or an intricate blend of these forces? Does the invocation of Scripture genuinely strengthen leadership by providing moral grounding and connecting leaders to transcendent values, offering a higher purpose? Or does it primarily serve to connect with public expectations in a nation where a significant portion of citizens identify as religious? And, perhaps most critically for our contemporary moment, how should Americans today interpret this complex, often fraught intersection of faith and political power? Should we actively seek presidents who frequently reference Scripture? And does it ultimately matter whether that usage is perceived as sincere conviction or strategic calculation? The Bible's persistent presence in American presidencies narrates a rich, complicated story about faith, leadership, and cultural influence that spans the entire history of the nation. Its consistent appearance in inaugural addresses, national ceremonies, and moments of profound crisis highlights the ongoing dialogue, sometimes harmonious, sometimes tense, between spirituality and governance in a republic founded on both religious freedom and a pervasive religious influence. Understanding this intricate history allows us to think more critically and clearly about the qualities and expressions of leadership we seek today. This is the scholar's ledger, where history, faith, and power are meticulously revealed. Subscribe, share your insightful thoughts in the comments below, and join us in the perpetual search for truth.